So what's wrong with you?
Excuse me?
People take this job to get away from something. So what's wrong?
Everything's fine, just getting some fresh air.
Well, escaping isn't always something bad.
Running away is easy. It's the leaving that's hard.
This is going to be a pretty crazy trip, so come with me to Iceland.
Running away is easy.
If you've read the title, you know I'm in Iceland. For the last 3 hours, I've been in the Blue Lagoon. It's absolutely gorgeous. This is one of the best places I've ever been in my life, and I've only been in the country for a matter of hours. The lagoon is special because it's heated via a geothermal electric plant that's underground, and the water is rich in minerals as well as silica and algae. The algae that's in the water replenishes skin collagen, and it's super good for making your skin look healthy and youthful. And the silica actually kind of like dries you out, which can actually get rid of wrinkles. So I'm looking fresh. I do have to shower off though, because it makes your hair all scraggly and dry. But this is absolutely gorgeous so far. Right now, I'm in a small town 45 minutes south of Reykjavik. I have no idea how to pronounce the name of it. Not even gonna try, because I would just be insulting people. I'm learning a lot about the total area of Iceland as a whole, as well as its volcanic and human history. Right now, we're going to the southern coast. We're gonna go to the Black Sands beaches. Well, a couple areas of the Black Sand beaches, and a couple of waterfalls. So hopefully we get some cool views. Hopefully we get to hike a little bit. Super excited. It's a beautiful place so far. I'm now at the Black Sands beach on the southern shore. And, well, the view's gorgeous. This beach's black sand is considered a spectacle by tourists, and of course it is. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. But to the people of Iceland, it's actually quite common. All the beaches of Iceland are black, except for some of the beaches on the west coast, due to the volcanic rock that the beaches are made of. Volcanic sediment. Something of note about the Black Sands beach in southern shore is that it is notable for these sneaker waves, aka killer waves. These waves can swell in 100 meters, which is about 300 feet. Inland, you can see this man backing away as one quickly approaches his feet. These waves are commonly knocking people over and dragging them back into the water. Apparently, people die every year from getting too close to these waves and being swept out to sea. You can see one back there, this tall plume, swelling much further inshore than the other ones. This is something to keep an eye out for if you're planning to visit. Something interesting about the beach itself is towards the ocean. It's actually consists of these small pebbles rather than real, granulated sand. A little further up on the beach, the pebbles get larger, and a little further up on the beach from that, the pebbles get smaller again. These ones are about as close to sand as you will see about the consistency of gravel. Looking up the sides of the mountain on the southern shore, you can see puffins. There are many, many puffins. Almost every flying bird you see here is either a seagull or a puffin. It's pretty cool. It's the first time I've ever seen a puffin before. Gorgeous place. This is one of the clearest angles I can find of these hexagonal rock formations that are also a famous spectacle of the Black Sands beach. They're carved out of volcanic rock that contracts as it touches the ocean and solidifies. This entire thing is made of volcanic stone.
It was lava at one point flowing down the mountainside, and as it touched the water, it started to cool and contract. And because of the composition of the lava, the specific stone that was in it, as the lava solidified, it contracted into these hexagonal formations and cracked perfectly along the molecular structure of the stone. It's really, really interesting. Now, of course, all of this has been carved out by waves, but this is still really cool. This entire mountain used to be lava, and it was lava flow from a nearby volcano, and the waves that might seem like every beach you've ever been to. We are now nestled, stopped in the town of Vic. It's a beautiful town. It's about 360 year-round residents, but in the summer months, we get tons and tons of tourists around. Tourists like myself. I think this would be a nice place to be buried. That's an eternal view right there. This is one of Iceland's 13-ish, I believe, glaciers. To be a glacier, you have to meet a pretty cool set of criteria. Some interesting things about the glacier is that when volcanoes erupt and glaciers sit on top of the magma that's trying to come up, the magma can melt and boil the water at the bottom of the glacier, causing massive amounts of pressure that either result in the glacier breaking apart at the top and the molten rock coming through, or the actual glacier itself gets lifted by the amount of pressure, not very high, but just high enough for the pressure to escape under the cracks that the glacier leaves. Apparently this part of the glacier right over there is 15 years old. Not that the ice formed there 15 years ago, but that is the time at which the current edge of it formed. In simpler terms, 15 years ago, the edge of the glacier was over at that mountain over there. Pretty sure it's something that has to do with like the way that the sunlight is reflecting off the mountain towards it. I heard some guy talking about that, but he wasn't talking in English, so I only caught parts of it. It's not specifically to do with global warming, but I believe that in recent years its melting has accelerated due to emissions and stuff like that, which is unfortunate. But 15 years ago, about up here, 30 years ago, way over there. So it has been melting steadily, and right now it's all the way back there. Right now I'm walking up to this gorgeous little waterfall hidden literally through a crack. There are people up there, and I'm gonna go join them and walk through this crack. This area is absolutely gorgeous. There's 4 waterfalls, and I'm gonna be walking past all 4 of them. Ooh, brave souls. I was gonna try and get in that falls, but since I'm in Converse, I didn't bring waterproof shoes. Since I'm in Converse, I don't think I'm gonna do that. It's cold and windy, and I don't want to have to dry my socks off somewhere. On to the next falls. There's this small trail that I found. It's not really hidden either. This is beautiful. There's also this cute little walkway to this small mini cave. It's not really a cave, it's more just like a tunnel of some sort. It stops right back there though. couldn't really get a good view of that falls, unfortunately, because of the amount of water I'd get in my shoes. But I am going to the other falls. Now that we're done for the waterfall, that's it for day one. Because of the geothermal water plants, Iceland has a plethora of electricity which supports their large grid of electrical car chargers. A fun fact is that 50% of people in Iceland actually drive an electric car. This is actually probably the best cinnamon roll I've eaten in my entire life, ever. I was in desperate need of some new shoes, so despite the high prices, I went and got a pair at this Hekla outlet. These Scarpas really fit my style of hiking. This guy looks so silly in his big hat. He's so funny. Good thing I'm nothing like him. I have Subway here. And I'm on this really cool boardwalk type thing. Walking down to the water, eat my Subway. It's gonna be really nice. The European 2-liter. Or at least the Icelandic 2-liter. Skinny and tall. Why is this cute little piggy? Why is that cute little piggy look so deranged? Why does he look so deranged? In Landmannalaugar, this is the hike that I'm doing. It's a 2.7 mile, 4 kilometer round trip. And the steam you see coming out of the ground here is from the geothermal plants. I was told that this pillar would have a bunch of directions on it, like a wayfinder. It has nothing. It's a blank concrete pillar on this little cliffside, which is still cool all the same, but it would have been cool to get like a picture of all the locations of the mountains and stuff. Too bad. You'll see that the grass and little shrubs that cover the ground disappear here shortly as the terrain turns from like a dirt to a pumice, actually. And there are fields of this that stretch for miles and miles and miles. Pumice is a very light, very strong rock material. It's made from volcanic rock, and companies will actually export it from Iceland and use it to make bricks. This snowy peak is Hekla. Hekla has been erupting quite commonly since the year 1210. It's erupted 20 times and continues to erupt into the modern era. It used to be believed that witches would come to worship the devil, as Hekla volcano was a portal to hell. This carried into modern day, where satanic churches in Europe would travel to Hekla once a year to worship Satan. You can see that the ground here is mostly broken up volcanic stone, and that's because this entire area is a lava field. It's a lava field from Hekla, of course, and it keeps getting covered with another layer of magma every single time Hekla erupts. You can tell which magma fields or lava fields are older than other ones based on the amount of moss on the undisturbed ground. Older patches of lava or magma would have more moss on them, and the newer patches of magma have less moss. Since we have some time here, I figured I'd work my way through this marked trail at the side of this little hillside.
all the different mosses that are here. These small little flowers, I have no idea what they are. I'm not familiar with Icelandic botany, but everything here is just absolutely spectacular. Looks like a different plant. You can see the rock layers in the mountain where it's peeled away. This looks like another planet. I have never ever seen anywhere that looks quite like this.
The world is not in your books and maps. It's out there.
Can you promise that I will come back?
No. And if you do, you will not be the same.
Here we can see just a couple local trout fishermen and the eroded shore of this lake. This is pretty interesting. Good size little 4 foot, 5 foot drop, 6 feet in some places. As I began this tour, I was a little bit worried that it was going to be quite weak compared to the last tour that I did. But hey, so far it started off a little worrisome, but dude, it gets so strong. Like, this is such a tough tour. Like, this is just one of the many locations that are amazing. This entire drive down here has been extremely entertaining, rugged, and scenic. And it's 100% worth it in my opinion. You know, whatever it takes to get out to a place like this, that's what it's worth. The weather is a little cloudy, but it's about as good as I could have hoped for. Iceland's a pretty cloudy place in general. The ice caps tend to bring the clouds lower because they lower the air pressure. Other than that, it's actually gorgeous. You know, and like I said, a little cloudy, but the sun's poking through and it's illuminating the moss really well. All the moss on these mountainsides just perfectly catch the sunlight. And I'm noticing there's a lot of small flying insects around me. None of them are biting me or anything. They just like sit on me. Yeah, but the weather is pretty sure it's a cool 51 right now. I'm wearing 3 layers, one really thin undershirt, a wool middle layer, and then this outer layer. And that's just to have a good breathability throughout all of my clothing. I haven't gotten to a sweating point yet, although I haven't been walking around a lot. So, you know, I mean, I've done a fair bit of walking. I'm about to walk a couple miles when we get up to Lake Monolaga, and that won't be too bad. I'd rather walk a little further than that, but hey, I'll take what I can get in Iceland, man. I'm just so happy to be here. Look at all these cool tents. Doing some major tent shopping right now. This might be a better view than I've given you guys so far. All of this rock that's jutting out in these big moss-covered boulders is a lava field. Now, these lava fields are created when massive amounts of magma pour out of volcanoes and settle and cool in these valleys. And as the volcanoes continue to erupt, about twice every century, sometimes more, the fields just keep getting higher and higher as the lava covers the old sheets. Far off in the distance here, you can actually see the magma, or not the magma, sorry, the water vapor coming out of the ground. Now that steam is created when water under the ground of Iceland, which there is a lot of, gets superheated by magma, which is also plentiful under the ground of Iceland, and forces its way through the cracks of the earth and escapes into the air as water vapor. You can see these a lot, and sometimes there are pools of water that are superheated, and those pools are the famous lagoons
The Blue Lagoon is a man-made one. The actual superheated pool here is a natural one. So that's pretty interesting. Up on the sides of this hill, you can see more water vapor from the magma. It's all boiling hot steam. As well as over here a little bit, you can just see it poking out of there. Up ahead there's more, and I think I'm gonna be able to walk right by it. Way over on this peak over here, you can see the tiny little dots on top that are people. And I wanna go up there. I don't think I'd actually be able to get up there. At least not on this hike, I don't have enough time. Not on this trip. The weather's cleared up real nicely though. It's now sunny with barely any clouds, and they're more towards that way. And I believe that even those ones are kind of going away. I think this is the highest point that I get to on this hike, which is not really high. But what you can see from here is the yellow that's covering these rocks. Pretty sure that that yellow is a sulfur deposit from the natural gas. Well, not natural gas, it's water vapor, but it carries sulfur particles up. And this entire area smells like sulfur, which kind of makes me sick, but power through it. So gorgeous. The sulfur is really doing a number on my my nausea. Every whiff of it is like, but no, I'm okay. You can see it's all in the air. It's pretty cool though. It really is fascinating how it peeps through the ground like this. We're on the other side of the hike now. I think the trail continues into this lava field right here. You can kind of see the steam better from this angle, at least. I'll hike into this lava field. My phone's at 18%, and I just realized that I have left my portable charger in the truck, which isn't the end of the world. You know, my phone can die. I've gotten so much footage this hike, it's okay. This is my last day in Iceland though. I'm pretty sure I leave tomorrow, so that's a bummer. I do want to get as much out of today as I can, which I'm doing. You know, this is gorgeous, but you know, if my phone dies, then I might not get to finish recording the hike, depending on how long it takes to get back to the portable charger, but I think I will get some good footage on the way back. Behind me is this massive river. It's coming out of this giant crack. There is no way that you can see the scale of this. This is absolutely enormous, and my camera is not good enough to pick this up. I hope that you can appreciate some of this beauty through the screen, because this is incredible. So down there, right past there, is where the stream starts, or well, where you can see it. And unfortunately we can't go back there because there's all these warning signs, which isn't a bad thing, it's a good thing. The area has lots of natural rare plants, as well as very dangerous terrain that makes it pretty unsafe for people to travel. Like you saw that sign, falling rocks, but there was also a flora protection warning and a slip warning. The ground there isn't exactly super stable because of erosion, and your weight can break the rocks and you can crumble down and die. So while I would love to go see the river at its edge, it's probably for the best that it's under protection. Looks like we're actually going to be able to get in, kind of touch the water. Not get in, but you know. The overall difficulty of this trail is probably about a 2 out of 10. It's got a little bit of uphill to it. It's got a lot of level changes. It's just all up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. But, you know, you're so low to the sea level in Iceland that you have more than enough oxygen. You can see how there's like a lot of level changes on this trail. But there's more than enough oxygen in the air. It's nothing like hiking in the West if you're from the United States. It's nothing like hiking in Eastern Asia. It is pretty easy. Walking up to the trail from far away, you don't notice how steep some parts actually are, and that is definitely the case with this section down to the water. It's not exactly straight down, but you know, you want to like put your feet to the side just to catch yourself a little bit. So my phone died, and didn't really miss much. I just found a little clump of pebbled poop. It looked like deer poop or rabbit poop, but it was about this big. It may have been sheep poop, except it was like on the trail, and I couldn't see any tracks around it because like other people tracks. So I don't know what it was. And Iceland does not have very many mammals. So I mean, it's a short list of things it could be, and none of them are extremely exciting, unfortunately. Although reindeer would be cool to see. But I am now back at camp, and well, not camp, I guess. It's just like where everybody else is camping. And I'm actually gonna take a little bit of time now to film some interesting vehicles, because there are a lot of vehicle configurations that they have here for off-roading specifically that they don't have in the States. And I would absolutely love some of these cars. So first thing is these massive super buses. I mean, this one, like, look at this thing. They're all on these massive snow tires, and they are absolutely huge with their snorkels. They're absolutely massive. You can see tour buses have like a little kind of variation to them. This is the type of vehicle that I'm touring in right now. It's a Ford F-350 Super Duty, 3 doors, and it's got that camper shell, except that camper shell you can't take off. It's just a massive, long vehicle. This is another one of the massive Mercedes off-roading buses. It looks like it has a camper extension in the back and a massive horn up top. And these are the city touring buses that come out here from the city. You can see that they have 8 wheels in the back, 2 sets of 2 wheels on each side, which is pretty crazy. The Land Rovers are big. This is a Land Rover Defender, and Toyota Land Cruisers are also a big car here. There's a couple of them right here, and here's a Jeep. The Jeeps aren't that popular because they're honestly kind of like high maintenance, but these are the search and rescue vehicles. Look at how big this is compared to a normal car. Like that's a full-size SUV. That's about as big as any SUV that you'd find in your driveway. And this thing is like 2 or 3 times the size of it, as well as this. These are search and rescue. This one looks more like an ambulance type of configuration. So look at these. Like, this thing is massive. In America, especially on the East Coast, a lot of these cars would just be for show. You'd lift your car and put some big tires on it just to say you can go mudding or whatever. But here, it's actually a necessity, and I have some massive respect for it. It's really cool. The noise that this made when it exploded could be heard for hundreds and hundreds of miles in every direction. This was a mountain. It was a peak, and it literally blew up, like, and made this crater, which has now filled with gorgeous sapphire blue water.
There are some things far more frightening than death.
You can see right here, this water is just pouring out of the ground. There is no water up on the sides of this mountain. This is totally dry, but you can see that water is just pouring out of the rocks. Here and all the way down, and over here too. The water is just so gorgeous. Followed the small dirt trail. There's no signs that said I can't be here. And so now I'm gonna get in that cave. Now, Iceland has no native large predators. The only natural predator they have is an Arctic fox. It's not a cave, but either way, this is beautiful. So now, with the waterfall behind me, I'm going to talk about Iceland's native predators and the fact that there really are none. Iceland is home to but one native canine. They have no wolves or coyotes. They have one type of fox, the Arctic fox. They have reindeer and a couple of types of small shrews, as well as seals. Now most of those, mice, reindeer, they're not real predators. So it's really just the seals and the Arctic foxes that are actual predators. Iceland doesn't have very many natural species of animal at all, as is. Most species that live here today were actually introduced to the country during more modern times. And that's because Iceland is actually a young country. It's a young formation of land, relatively, like geologically speaking. It is not very old. Like I said before in the video, Iceland only formed, well, most of Iceland only formed after the most recent ice age. So, I forget exactly how far back that was. Because of this, Iceland does not have a very diverse ecosystem as far as animals go. Its wildlife ecosystem is prevalent and diverse, but its fauna is not that, and so we've had to introduce species throughout the more recent past. If you look right here, you can see more basalt columns. They form like this in lava pools, like I explained back at the Black Sands Beach. The lava will pool in here, and what will happen is as it pools in here, it'll cool down. Maybe this body of water wasn't here, but it cooled down naturally, and when it was doing that, it kind of contracts as it cools, and it forms these hexagonal columns, hexagonal columns, and normally they aren't horizontal. These ones are kind of all horizontal. Normally they're more vertical like these ones. So that's pretty interesting. I found a music festival. This band is playing a bunch of really popular US songs, but they sound like they're slightly remixed, and they're only playing like 10-15 second segments of the songs, which is kind of funny, but it's so loud. I could hear it from my room like 10 blocks down. It looks like they're still setting up. I see people carrying things and the food trucks are setting up. I seem to be like the only real normal person around here that isn't like a music festival employee, which is a bummer because I'm about to get on my plane. I have to walk back to the airport, well, to a bus stop, and then I go to the airport, but that's cool. And I got Subway, so that's always cool.